Hello, everybody. I am trying to be a little bit clever here by going live on Instagram at the same time. Unfortunately, Instagram doesn't connect with the StreamYard software that I use. So I've got my phone here, and those on Instagram, you can now see me on the phone. So let's see how this goes. Maybe it's clever, maybe it's a bit too much. We'll see. But yeah, welcome to another episode of the Daily Sib, or not the Daily Sib, but Ask Sibs as it's now become. I've prepped relevant people that I am on a live, so hopefully there won't be the knock at the door and the interruption that I had yesterday and ended up cutting the live feed and then coming back for part two and finishing it off that way. But that's going to say live television. Obviously, it's not television, but that's live streams for you. So yeah, I'm connected on all different technologies, as I just said, including Instagram. And hello to my Instagram live views down at the rather awkward angle. I will have a play around and see if I can get a better angle for my phone. But as I've mentioned a few times, if I put it up on brackets and stuff like that, I can't then reach it to operate it. So for now, everyone on Instagram gets a little look slightly down underneath my face at that angle. So yeah, tech-wise, we're on Instagram, we're on Twitter, on Facebook, or on LinkedIn, and we're on YouTube. And hopefully there will not be the interruptions, as I just said, unlike yesterday. And so yeah, we're talking about lockdown. Obviously, a lot of anxiety and fear. I think that for me, the general observation of what's going on at the moment, it's definitely everyone's just feeling very worried about the virus, worried about the implications of lockdown. It affects people and families in very different ways, some economically, some the balancing of childcare, and many other types of examples. On a very, very personal level, I have to say, with whether I'm officially clinically extremely vulnerable, as the terminology goes, I'm not 100% sure. I have a neuromuscular condition. Chest infections and pneumonia have always been my kryptonite, to use a Superman analogy for a bit of a tongue-in-cheek joke. But yeah, ultimately, the whole time I've lived since birth with spinal muscular atrophy, coughs, cold, chest infections, pneumonia have always been a real risk. So since day one of this virus, back when it arrived in March, I've been extremely cautious. So as I mentioned on some of my live streams way back in spring, early summer, it was the wash the hands, keep the house clean, limit the amount of interaction, social distancing, all that good stuff. Having to have personal care assistants come in the house has made it more difficult to not see anybody, and obviously alleviate that risk of catching the virus, because I need that support literally to get out of bed and to get bathed and stuff. So that's been an ongoing risk in terms of the personal care assistants. But again, they're very aware and empathetic. So I feel like I've been in lockdown now since March, when it was tier 2, 3, 4 lockdown. I think we're all confused as to what the differences are, but also for me, it hasn't made any difference. I've just been at home working hard, and I think that's kept me a bit more sane. Those of you that have followed me a lot in the past, normally I'm at meetings, up for work, I'm speaking at conferences and traveling the world and having work trips and leisure trips and holidays and all the rest of it. So yeah, there's definitely missing a lot of that, but I've just essentially gone to myself, while this virus is out there and there's potential risk and harm it can do, and maybe I'm in the clinically extremely vulnerable group, maybe I'm not quite, depending on what the different ways of judging that. But ultimately, common sense for me is just to be very careful. And so I had a big adjustment in the first instance, and then I found a new rhythm and a new normal. And so I suppose, just to be really honest, that the announcement yesterday on a personal level, I'm not sure how much it's going to actually change what I'm going to be doing in January and February as to what I did in like last July, August, September. Obviously, the weather makes a difference. I think, the summertime was nice to be more in the garden. I still take the dog for a walk every day and get a bit of fresh air. And I live in a small town, so I can take the dog out and not have to come into contact with very many people. So yeah, I think for me on that level, practically not a lot has changed, but I definitely am quite an empathetic, sensitive person, and I just can feel the fact that the cases seem to be going up, and then the way they've judged the need to have the lockdown. People are just freaking out, and it's definitely a lot of fear in the air. So in terms of when I'm putting how can we cope with another COVID-19 lockdown, obviously my personal experience, that's all I can really share. I'm not going to profess to have answers for everybody, but I definitely can say my experience is such that it hasn't made a big difference overnight, day to day. What I can speak to that is more universal and more for everybody to potentially benefit from, I think, is the mindset side. So when I was, I think it was last autumn, I've been involved in a project for people with SMA, so the disability I mentioned earlier that I've got, spinal muscular atrophy. We made some videos with Roche Pharmaceuticals. There's a whole side story, a whole tangent about some drug treatments for people with SMA. There's 3 on the market, and for most of my life, there was never any potential treatments for SMA. I say this is a tangent, but it's just to give a little bit of context that in this project that we've been doing, a few of us with SMA, a few influencers with Roche, we made some videos, and one of them I was giving some advice about how I'd generally been coping last year. And so I just wanted to kind of repeat some of those points for this video today. And I think I say take away what does or doesn't resonate, but it's certainly what has really, really helped me for sure. So really, it's about the basic points about mindset. So as I mentioned already, there was a massive practical change, the sort of change of routine, the change of the hygiene and speaking to my personal care assistants. So there was, I guess you could argue, the things I had control over and very sort of tangible elements. And I think that made me feel better because I was able to have some agency and feel like I had some control over the situation. Let's be honest, it's completely out of our control that there's this virus out there and it's flipped our world upside down as it has done the last few months now. So yeah, there was sort of taking a control relating to the virus, or at least alleviating the risk of getting the virus. But then I think the other part, more from the pure mindset, was having control over what I thought about and the activities I did. So I really tried to limit my intake of the mainstream news because, it's fine to check in, hear the headline or the latest update if that feels like it's really relevant and important. But I think to just live on the news, this 24/7 onslaught of all the bad things that are happening. And this isn't just about the virus. This is the mainstream media in general. It's just not particularly healthy. So I definitely limited my amount of intake of the mainstream news. As I mentioned earlier, I've been working very hard. So that was something I could focus on that was more positive and more enjoyable. I mentioned the dog walk, so getting out, fresh air, exercise. I've also ended up, I look back at sort of summer, autumn last year, did some really big things with personal development. Actually, I changed quite a bit of my diet to try and get some more nutrients and nutrition into my body, which definitely helped me feel better in general. I did a post in about October, November, I think I posted that I'd had some therapy for the first time in my life. And some of that was because of the changes of lockdown and everything that went on, particularly because of the virus. But it was also things just, and this it was, when you say the word therapy or counseling, some people just presume there's some like really big, bad, awful situation. But to be honest, it was a lifetime of things that have happened that I never really stopped and thought about and talked about, and just kind of got my head around what those events and things meant to me and how it formed some of my beliefs and my behaviors now. So it was very very much just a sort of personal development venture, to be honest with you. So that was something I had control over, and felt phenomenally better after some of that therapy as well. And I also think another part of mindset is like positivity and optimism. And I don't mean being unrealistic and, just like thinking things that are just never going to happen. But, there are things we're hearing from the government and the scientists, and generally, we know in spring and summer, even if the virus is still around, will be better because we can get out and it's longer days and warmer days. And so, there is definitely, I am an optimistic person, but there is an optimism that, by March, April, the vaccines will be more rolled out. I know it's a very contentious topic, and a bit like Brexit, a bit like Trump, that all these topics just seem to divide us, which is really sad that we end up, we're in one camp or another. And I don't want to get into the whole vaccination stuff. Like everyone has their own views, but the point is that the vaccine's being rolled out. And so, for different reasons, it looks like come March, April, things will be picking up. So I think it's also nice to look ahead at better times. And a dose of realism. The world in some ways has changed in particular ways forever. I think some of our cultural ways, our behavior ways will have shifted permanently, like how we do a lot more working from home, studying at home, even entertainment at home. We may be wearing masks for a long time. Cash seems to be getting more and more out of circulation as we go more digital. So we have to accept that certain things have changed forever and accept that. But it doesn't all have to be bad. And so without going on some unwarranted rant or up on a soapbox, I just really wanted to come on today after this big news of another lockdown and just say, whatever you're going through, that's fine. As in, I know when I get a bit stressed or a bit anxious, I sometimes beat myself up for feeling negative. So whatever it is you're feeling, just tell yourself it's absolutely fine to feel that. Have that things you can control, like I talked about, whether it's your intake of news and getting some fresh air, that exercise every hour, but within all of the precautions we're all very, very fully aware of now. But also have that dose of positive optimism that this isn't forever and it will pass. And so keep busy, keep happy as you can do. And I look forward to doing these daily questions. Yesterday was my financial target for the business. Today is ways to cope with lockdown. Tomorrow we'll see. And as I keep saying to you, please do, come up with your own questions as well. I'm going to log off from Instagram. Thanks everyone on Instagram for watching. So we'll close that down. And then I will be able to get ready to close you down on my laptop with my other button. So as always, thanks for watching on the live. We had a quick comment from Graham saying made it this time after what I was saying yesterday. Graham rung me after my live stream. Sanjeev is saying best of luck. Back to you, Sanjeev. Thank you. Elena, I got a long one there. Because of previous chronic health issues and ongoing health issues, I'm in the vulnerable group. So I'm like you, Martin. I've pretty much remained in the original lockdown mentality since March, and a green mindset is key. It's what kept me sane during my year in bed prior to the original lockdown. And every day I'm focused on what I'm thankful for and accepting that life is currently not what it was for now. Accept it. Accept we can't control it all, but get what we can control. And I think it continues on, and we can't see it on the screen. But that was on my Facebook. So I will come back and read the rest of that later afterwards, and other people can follow it on there as well. From YouTube, Nikki saying, cheers, Martin, interesting. Rebecca is saying, thanks, Martin. Just to let you know, Rebecca, I've replied to your email just before I went live. And as also, thanks for your kind words again about my slight BBC Aunties Bloomers moment yesterday with the interruption. I appreciate you suggesting that I cope with it well, because I was inside. I was like, what do I do? What do I do? So yeah, as I say, we'll bring today's to an end. Thanks for everyone with all your comments on the live, and everyone else watching later today. Feel free to put comments and questions. And I know I'm going to go into a very stereotypical influencer mode, but don't forget to like and share. I really do want these daily live streams to reach more people. And as I said a few minutes ago, please get any questions in. As I said, it could be about business, it could be about leadership, it could be marketing, mindset. As today really was the context of the lockdown, but it's actually been about mindset, really. Any questions you've got could be about some of the adventures I've done over the years, like when I flew a plane and went scuba diving and all the travels I've done. I'd be very happy to reflect on those travels, as I mentioned, I'm dearly missing that at the moment. Public speaking, I've done a lot of public speaking. So whatever your question is, I'd really love the chance to help bring value to you, whether it's about personal life or professional life. And yeah, just thanks as always. And I will see you again tomorrow. Sorry, Emma's just said, thanks, Martin. It's really good to hear how you're doing. I'll keep following. Awesome. Thank you, Emma, for messaging. All right. Yeah. So have a great day. What are we, Tuesday? God, I've been back a day and a half, and so much work happened in that time. I feel like I've already done a whole week in a good way. But yeah, so I'll be back tomorrow, Wednesday, around sort of lunchtime-ish is what I'm aiming for. And yeah, we'll see what the question is tomorrow. And take care for now. Bye-bye.